Picture this, someone trying to tape together a shattered cup, carefully, patiently, desperately, but the cracks remain, and the cup never holds water the same way again. That's you, trying to put your old life back together after everything changed. You tell yourself you're being resilient, that you're bouncing back. But are you really bouncing back, or just dragging the corpse of who you used to be? When life shifts, a breakup, a loss, a layoff, a move, something inside you panics. You feel the pull to fix, to restore, to rebuild exactly what you had before. But here's the brutal truth. Some things don't want to be rebuilt. And many of the things you lost weren't serving you. They were silently draining your energy, stealing your peace, burying your potential. If you enjoy this type of content, don't forget to click the like and subscribe button. But still, we cling. Why? Because the past, even a painful one, feels familiar. And the future? That's chaos, unknown, terrifying. So we look backward and call it healing, when in reality we're just decorating a prison we already escaped, like Emma. She left a toxic relationship after years of manipulation, shame, and emotional silence. She swore she'd never go back. But 3 months later, the loneliness crept in. The silence started screaming. And suddenly, she missed even the pain, because at least it was known. That's what nostalgia does. It edits the truth. You start remembering the good parts and forgetting the parts that almost broke you. You call that love, but it's not. It's addiction to the past, to the illusion of control, to the fantasy that going backward will make you whole. But let me ask you this. What if what you lost was never meant to stay? What if healing isn't rebuilding the old life, but creating space for something new to be born? Stay with me, because until you see the truth behind your resistance, you'll keep mistaking your cage for comfort. Alan Watts once said, "You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop." And yet, here you are, acting like the tide should obey your plans. You weren't taught to flow. You were taught to fight. From school to adulthood, the message was loud and clear. Control equals success. Predict, plan, execute. Stay ahead of the curve. Win. So when life dissolves your timeline, when a job disappears, a relationship ends, or your identity starts to unravel, your first instinct is war. You tighten your grip. You swim harder against the current. You mistake surrender for weakness and control for safety. But let's be honest. How's that working for you? You lie awake at night trying to figure it out. Your chest feels tight. Your mind loops the same 3 thoughts. You call it overthinking, but it's really resistance. You're trying to hold still what was never meant to stop moving. Here's the paradox. Life isn't breaking. It's flowing. You're the one breaking because you refuse to move with it. Watts believed that suffering begins the moment we start seeing ourselves as separate from the flow of the universe. The moment we stand outside the river and try to command its course, we create friction, fear, chaos. But we weren't made to resist the current. We were made to ride it. You are not a fixed structure. You're a process, a pulse, a becoming. Think about it. The tree doesn't mourn its fallen leaves. The ocean doesn't apologize for changing tides. But you mourn your own evolution, like it's a tragedy instead of a transformation. Stop trying to go back to what made sense. Start listening to what your life is trying to become. Change doesn't break you. Your grip does. You think the pain you're feeling is because something ended, a relationship, a job, a dream. But what if the real pain, the one in your chest, in your sleep, in your soul, isn't from the loss? It's from how hard you're clenching what's already gone. There's a kind of suffering that isn't loud. It doesn't scream or bleed. It lingers. It stiffens your body. It makes joy feel suspicious. That's the suffering of resistance, the kind that comes from trying to reverse something that's already in motion, like Daniel. He lost his job during a company restructuring. 6 months later, he was still waking up early, putting on a shirt and tie, refreshing job boards like they were slot machines. He wasn't adapting. He was performing, desperately trying to get back to who he was, the income, the status, the role. But the truth was, That version of him didn't exist anymore. Not because of the job, because life moved on and he didn't. That's what we do. We spend so much time trying to fix what was that we delay what could be. Imagine trying to glue a shattered mirror back together. Even if you succeed, you'll never see yourself clearly again. And yet, you keep reaching for the shards. Why? Because the pain of the unknown feels worse than the comfort of something broken. But here's the truth. Some chapters aren't meant to be rewritten. They're meant to be closed. You can't carry the past on your back and expect to walk forward with clarity. What's falling apart might be the very thing making space for who you were meant to become. But you'll never know until you loosen the grip. There's a kind of beauty that doesn't shout. It doesn't sparkle or impress. It whispers. It lingers. It moves something in you without asking permission. That's Yūgen, and chances are you've felt it before. You just didn't have a name for it. It's in the sound of rain when you're alone, the way a shadow stretches across a wall at 5 p.m., the look in someone's eyes just before they say goodbye. Yūgen is a Japanese aesthetic concept, and it refuses translation. Not because it's complicated, but because it's too simple for words. It's not logic, it's presence, it's not knowledge, it's intuition. It doesn't want to be explained, it wants to be felt. And this is exactly where Alan Watts lived. He didn't lecture to give answers. He spoke to wake you up to the beauty you were trained to overlook. He didn't reduce life to formulas. He amplified its mystery. His metaphors, a candle burning itself out, bamboo swaying in the wind, a wave rising and falling, only to rise again. All of them nodding toward Yūgen, even if he never used the word. In a world obsessed with clarity, Yūgen is resistance. It's the sacred middle between control and chaos, between holding on and letting go. Watts once said, "Life is like music. The point isn't to get to the end. The point is to enjoy the dance." Yūgen is that dance, the silence between the notes, the meaning you feel but can't prove, the ache in your chest when you see something fleeting. And somehow, it heals you. So maybe that's the shift. You don't need another plan. You need a different kind of attention, not the kind that looks for answers, the kind that listens for meaning. Here's the question everyone asks once the poetry fades. Okay, but how do I actually live this? How do you stop clinging to what's gone without becoming numb or passive? How do you let go, not as defeat, but as strength? The answer lies in attention. Not productivity, not logic, not discipline. Attention is the new intelligence. And where your attention goes, your life follows. So here's what Alan Watts understood, and what modern life makes us forget. Stillness is not weakness. Silence is not emptiness. And presence is everything. If you want to access the power of Yūgen, that sacred stillness, you don't need to meditate for hours or read ancient texts. You need to start noticing. First, slow down, drink your coffee slowly, watch the steam rise like a message, take a walk without a destination, let your body guide you instead of your calendar. Pause between tasks, let your nervous system breathe. Second, embrace silence. Not just the silence around you, the one inside. Sit with your thoughts without reacting. 5 minutes, no music, no phone. Just breathe. The goal is not peace, it's witnessing. Third, create space. You don't need more apps, tips, answers. You need room. Delete one thing you don't need. Say no once a day. Turn off notifications. Let a question remain unanswered. You don't have to explain everything, especially to yourself. Yūgen lives in the space between, the unspoken, the unfinished. And when you stop filling every second with noise, the invisible begins to speak. Alan Watts said, "You are what you pay attention to." If your attention is always on what's missing, you'll feel lack. If it shifts to what's unfolding, you'll feel life again. Most people live like this, chasing something, an answer, a version of themselves, a life that makes sense. And when things fall apart, when the job ends, the person leaves, the plan fails, they panic. Not because they've lost something, but because they don't know who they are without it. But here's the thing Alan Watts kept trying to tell us. You were never meant to hold it all together. You were meant to let it move through you. Letting go is not passive. It's not giving up. It's the most courageous thing you'll ever do, because to let go is to trust. not blindly, but consciously. To look life in the eye and say, even if I don't understand this right now, I'll allow it. And in that space, the one that opens when you stop forcing, something wild happens. You start feeling again, not just surface emotion, aliveness, the kind that doesn't need a reason to exist, the kind that returns in quiet moments, a breeze through the window, a child's laugh, the way your body softens when you're no longer fighting the tide. Yūgen isn't something you achieve. It's something you notice once you've stopped trying to fix everything. It's the realization that the beauty you were chasing was already here. Watts said, when you try to grasp water, it slips through your fingers, but if you open your hands, it stays. That's the invitation. Stop grasping. Start receiving. Let the past be over. Let the future stay unwritten. Let this moment, flawed, fleeting, silent, be enough. And if that scares you, good. That means you're close. Now tell me, what are you finally ready to release? Drop it in the comments. Give it a name. Let it go. Because this isn't the end. It's the space where something real can finally begin. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe button.